I say, how you doing today? How you doing today? I'm your host, Lacey G. Souldier Turner, and today I got a very special guest with me. Man, she's an author, a mother. She's an advocate for faith-centered healing, opening up new conversations about mental health, grief, and resilience. She's an enthusiast. She has won awards for her short stories. She has a 20-year career in advertisement and brand marketing. She's a devoted wife, a proud mother. She just been doing a lot of great things in the community, just period, just all across the board. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the platform the wonderful, amazing, talented Bridget J. Harris. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm about to start bringing you with me everywhere I go. Like, I need that.
Hey, look, I'm here for you.
Right. Thank you for the invite. Happy to be here.
No problem. So before we get into what I want to discuss, can you let the people know a little bit about you? So can you let them know where were you born and raised, and how was your upbringing as a child?
Okay. I was born and raised in Gary, Indiana, the G, me and Michael Jackson. But no, I grew up in Gary, Indiana. I grew up with both of my parents. I feel like sometimes that can be the minority more so than the majority, like coming from a two-parent household. Only child, but had tons of cousins, friends that were always in rotation at the house, or I'm at their house. So yeah, I had a really beautiful, wonderful childhood thanks to my parents and the community. We don't community like we used to.
Yeah,
Like,
facts,
you know
facts.
what I'm saying? I'm like, we used to host Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
4th of July, like at my parents' house, and my aunts and uncles and the cousins, we all be there. And now I'm like, I guess it's on us. Like we're the grown-ups, so
Yeah.
we're supposed to be hosting and we're not. We're not doing nothing. But you
Hey, look, you is not telling no story. That's how my mom used to be. All the family used to come over, but I guess, like you
yeah,
said, as we get older, I guess we were supposed to keep the tradition going.
we dropped the ball. We dropped
Mhm.
the ball, but yeah.
Yes. So before we even get into your book, I want to ask you, what made you want to become an author?
Really, my dad. My dad was a journalist, author, playwright, and I feel like I've always been a daddy's girl. Me and my mom are besties now, but I've always been a daddy's girl and just wanted to follow in his footsteps. And so I was 9 years old writing short stories for this thing that was called the Media Fair. And we used to have a citywide, then you win city, you go to regional, then you go to state. And me and my partner, who was the artist, and I was the writer. Shout out to Tracy Smith. Um, but we used to win. We used to take home those medals every year, best in category, and so that kind of fueled it. And then, yeah, my dad has always been the inspiration for my writing.
Nice, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So let's talk about your, debut memoir, Therapy, Wine, and Guide. Can you tell us
Yes.
what made you want to write this? Tell the people about
So, so my dad being my inspiration, I feel like he always was like, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book." And I would have these ideas, but I wasn't sure what the story was going to be. And the stories that resonate with me the most are the ones that are like hyper human. So it's not like the bad guy who's always bad or the good person who's always good.
it.
It's like this infusion of humanity in regular people. So sometimes good people make bad decisions,
Right.
and looking at, the resilience and the love and loss and triumph and all that stuff. And so I felt like at the onset of 2020, which I know everybody was going through it, but I was in a new relationship with a person who I had known from high school, but we were just, reconnecting, rekindling. He had been married and divorced. I had been in a 20-year on and off relationship, engaged twice, never married, same person. That's crazy. Um, um, but it was this like what I felt was like a huge personal transition point in my life during pandemic. And I was struggling, to be honest. I was just struggling with everything that was happening. I had never dated a man with kids before, and he had 50 children, and they were all at the house at the same time. Now, remember, I said I'm an only child.
Yeah.
So I used to be sitting there like, the noise, I'm triggered. Like, I'm in the room, lock the door. And so I just felt like, okay, I have a story to tell now. I feel like because I was struggling, I named the book Therapy, Wine, and God, but those were really my three pillars that helped me through that process. And just hoping that my words, what I wrote, somebody else can see it and be like, oh man, I went through that too, or I'm glad I'm not the only one. Because some of the stuff I was going through, I just felt really alone when I was going through it. And so I'm hoping that by writing this, I can, help somebody, or you just get a key from it and be like, man, I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
I got you. So look, let me say this because like me, I had listened to like Charlemagne, and he was like, it's always healthy to talk to someone. So I had like got me a therapist like 2 years ago. I've been going to a therapist for
okay.
2 years, and it's real great. So can you let the people know how important it is to get therapy?
Therapy is, and I always say, like, even if you don't know what you're going to get out of it, just try it. Because a lot of times we're talking to our mom, your bestie, and they love you and they have your best interests at heart. But therapy, I feel like, can give you that other perspective of someone who doesn't care about you. Not that they don't care, but
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
looking, that whole outside looking in, and how they can see, they really can't see. I always liken it to, like, if you get dressed and you look good because you saw the outfit, you tried it on, like, it's cute, it's fly, you put it on, you're cute. Therapy is the mirror. Like,
Mhm.
let me just double check to make sure. And if you missed a button, yeah, the outfit is nice, but maybe you buttoned it wrong, or maybe you need to just tuck it in on the side, or see if you pull it out just based on your body type, what it looks like. Therapy is that reflection that can let you really see parts of yourself, and it reflects, your internal. Because some of the stuff I feel like we don't even know why we're doing it.
Right.
Therapy can kind of help you understand
Mhm.
why you are the way you are. And a lot of us,
Yes.
especially we get to that 40 mark and you're like, I am who I am. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, now that ain't always good. Sometimes you need to change some stuff, or at least identify why you are the way you are. And so I think, personally, I think it could benefit everybody. I always give extra kudos to men who do therapy, who try therapy, because I feel like sometimes it's harder to get y'all into it. So I love hearing that, that you've been that. How do you feel? I know you asked me the question, but how do you feel like it changed your
I,
perspective?
Yeah, definitely. Because my therapist always tell me like, the things I've been through, like growing up, seeing my mom and all this type of do stuff. She was like, I'm not saying anything you did right and wrong. I'm helping you understand, why, the
Yes.
things you do and feel the way you feel and the things you go through. She's like, not saying, making excuses, but this is why, you witness this type of trauma and all that type of stuff. So I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's the why. And that's the thing, like, they're not here to tell you what to do. They're
Exactly.
not gonna be like, okay, go do this. Because sometimes I'll sit down and I'll be like, this happened, and I'm like, fix it. Tell me what to do. And what they are, one of my best friends is a therapist, and she always likens it to, like, they're not driving the car, you're driving the car. They're just in the passenger seat, and they might have the map and be like, maybe you should go that way. Try,
Mhm.
just helping you with the directions, but not telling you what to do and not driving the car. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then even like, I go on my therapist, she's like, cause I write and direct movies also. So she was like,
Okay.
she'd be like, how you doing? I was like, oh yeah, I wrote and direct my movies. I'm, doing my music. I'm doing she's like, no, but how are you doing? She said, what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so I
Yes.
love those type of things. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so let me ask you this. So we talk about therapy. Can you tell the people about the wine pillar of the book?
Yes. So the wine. The wine I kind of use as a metaphor for my friendships, communion, as an only child. Like, I'm a girl's girl. My girls mean the world to me. So, like, friendship is very important to me.
Okay.
And it's nothing better than just getting together for a kiki over some wine. Now, the tequila, that'll turn you up. That's for going out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sitting down and just talking over wine. And it's just it's also just like the indulgences that you don't necessarily need, but you do need them. I feel like some of that stuff, that self-care is not always about, doing the healthier thing. Sometimes it's just sitting down, having a glass of wine with your friends, and that helps your mental as well. And so that's where the wine comes in, the friendship, the communion, and the small indulgences that help you get through it.
Okay. All right. What about
Yeah.
the God part? God.
And God.
Yes.
God is the everything. That's the anchor. That's everything to see you through. I have had to rely on God for everything in my life. And what I do say and talk about in the book is the aspect of surrender. Like, I used to think faith was like, okay, I'm gonna pray for this one thing.
Mhm.
And if I believe God does it exactly how I'm asking him to do it, that means I have faith. And
Mhm.
it's like, yes and no, because sometimes God shows up and he'll bless you and he'll give you everything you asked for, but it looks completely different than
Right.
what you thought it was going to look like. And so that's what I've kind of come to learn. Like, yes, you're asking for roses, and he'll give you the dirt and some seeds and some water, and you got everything you need to
Mhm.
grow all the roses that you
Mhm.
want to grow. But you're like, well, wait a minute, but I asked for roses. I didn't
Mhm.
ask for dirt and seeds, and it's just like, if you just take a step back and surrender and understand that you can be getting everything you prayed for, it just may show up differently. And so me
Mhm.
and God, we're good. Like, you don't have to, get down on your knees and fold your hands a certain way. And it's just like, sometimes I'm just like, okay, God, this is what's up. Like,
Yeah.
have a relationship with God. And that's what I've learned too. It's just like building my own relationship with God has
Mhm.
really helped me. And also, therapy and God are
Mhm.
not a contradiction, because
Right.
you get a lot of people who are super churchy and they're like, you don't need therapy. All you need is God.
Yeah.
Just pray on it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, that's not, they work hand in hand.
Right.
Like, you could be praying for peace. Therapy will help you set boundaries so
Mhm.
you could get some of that peace that you're praying for. So they work together.
And look, I want to touch back on something you just said, like surrendering, man. Like that's like something very powerful to me. Like anybody I come in contact with, I don't know if you saw this either. I always tell them go watch Oprah surrender. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Mm,
video is like so powerful, or she was just talking about how bad she wanted the color purple, and it didn't
yes.
look like she was gonna get it. Like something happened, you know what I'm saying? But when she surrendered it to God, it was just like it was amazing. You got to watch that, and that's
It
how,
just falls into place.
yeah, that's how
I'm gonna
things
check
happen.
that out.
Yeah, that's how things happen in my life. Like once I surrender to God, like because we try to control every aspect of our life, but even when I just put my content out there and just let it go, let God do what it do,
Yeah.
things happen. So I love what you said about surrendering for real.
Yeah. And people, it's hard. That's what, and I talk about in the book how when you think about the word surrender, it's almost like giving up, waving the white flag. Like,
Mhm.
it feels like it's weak, but it's really the strongest thing you could do, because what you're doing is to be like, okay, I don't have it, but
Mhm.
I trust you and
Right.
I'm going to go with it and I'm going to still show up. That is strength. It's strength in being able to do that. And the relationship I was in for 20 years, I was trying to control that thing. I wanted it to look, now Lord, I said I wanted it to be like this, this,
That's
this,
right.
and this.
Yeah.
Like, just make it happen. And I would be praying for signs, and I would get the sign, and then I'd be like, okay, God, show me a sign that was the sign. And he was probably up there like, nope. Like, I'd already told you.
Right.
And it wasn't until I really was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and surrender and let this go. And then everything, when I tell you, in 4 years, my whole life changed.
Mm,
Everything that I was praying for was happening. And yeah, it looked different.
mm,
Um, but it was everything that I was praying for was happening. It just took that moment of like letting go. And I talk about, even like, I set the book up kind of as a metaphor for that too, because I talk about this near death experience that I had.
mm.
And in that moment, it was also almost like this involuntary surrender, but I had to just like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do anymore. And I had to surrender in order for my life to be saved.
Mm,
And so it just, that kind of set up everything else that I start talking about. And even that moment where you almost die. I don't know if you've had a near death experience, but you come out of it kind of like, okay, what am I here? What am I supposed to be doing?
mm,
What am I here for? And
mm,
I was like thinking that, like I'm supposed to be a different person immediately because
mm.
I've been spared. I almost died. I need to make sure God knows he made the right decision. So,
Yeah.
and it was hard for me to just change on a dime like that. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, that wasn't realistic anyway. I wasn't gonna just change automatically. That took time, and it took me building my relationship with God and understanding other things that were happening in my life to even get to the point of surrendering
Mm.
to the relationship part so that everything else could change. So I'm still learning. I'm not an
Gotcha.
expert by any means, but you know,
Yeah, I
I
got
hit that 40 mark, and I'm like, oh, I'm wise. Let me find out I got some
you.
wisdom to share.
I like that. I like that. So let me ask you about this. 'Cause I know a lot of women go through this also. Can you tell the people about your fertility struggles?
Yes, yes. And that's another thing where surrendering is key because yes, we have the technology and the doctors, but at the end of the day, you really have to just be ready for what comes.
Right.
And I had fibroids. I dealt with fibroids, and what fibroids are, they're benign tumors in near and around your reproductive stuff inside. And so I had them inside of my uterus and around. And I was basically, I didn't know that I even had them until I was trying to conceive. So I had gone 40 years, not, and I go to the doctor. I'm not even like and I remember in 2013, which is probably like what, 10 years before I even considered, or a little less than 10 years before I was trying to have a baby, I discovered I had a very small fibroid. But the doctor was kind of like, well, there's nothing to do about it. It's tiny. You don't need anything. It's not in your way, and I went on about my life. And I wish that the doctor would have kept an eye on it and let me know, like, hey, we found a small one. It could it could create more, or it could grow. I literally, I didn't think about it again. And
Yeah.
then when I was trying to conceive and nothing was happening, I'm like, okay, well, let me go get checked out. And I was told that I had fibroids. And like I said, it wasn't something that I ever followed up on or asked about. And so I didn't know much about it. And so I had to learn what that meant, what that was. And the doctor's telling me, like, well, your best chance of conceiving is IVF. And so even with that, just, I feel like it wasn't a conversation I was hearing often, especially not among Black women. Even though Black women suffer the most from fibroids, we also are, lower on the numbers when it comes to fertility treatments.
Facts.
And it's probably also because there's a cost barrier because it's
Yeah.
very expensive. And so I acknowledge that as, a privilege of being able to even go through the process of IVF, but having to have surgeries and address fibroids and just relearning my body, and then having to, you know I felt, I struggled with feeling like something was wrong with me, or especially because my husband has children. So
Yeah.
I was a stepmom before I was a biological mom. So
Yeah.
that's where therapy and God came in too, because I'm like, I'm trying to have a kid, but I'm taking care of kids.
Mhm.
And I'm also a person, not an angel. So I'm kind of like, WTF? Like, I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah,
Like, I don't have a duck in a race.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like a horse in the race. And I'm still involved. And so that was something that I had to also rely on God and therapy to help me get through that process. But it was a journey, just my for the IVF process and hormones, being a crazy person during that, and having to have surgery leading up to the IVF just to remove the fibroids. And so, thank God it all worked out.
yeah.
I do want to say to any woman listening to this that is still going through their IVF journey, um, patience, and just, try to relax. I know it's easier said than done, but try to relax because stress doesn't help the process. And I had to coax myself through that as well, just worrying on if it would happen. So, prayers up for anybody that's still in that journey. Either way it comes out.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this, Bridget. How important do you feel it is breaking the stigma of mental health? Because like when we be going through stuff, people like, "Oh, ain't nothing wrong with you." You know what I'm saying? Like people
Right.
don't acknowledge that. So, yeah, you tell the people how important it is breaking that stigma.
Listen, we have to get out of that. Your mind is all you have, like, and your health, but that's part of it, like your mental capacity. And I just feel like I'm happy that more of us are into it. So now we gotta do better than we doing with the get-togethers, and we gotta,
Facts,
talk
man.
about therapy to the younger people because our other non-brown counterparts,
Yeah.
they're in therapy. I have friends that have teenage sons and daughters, and they're like, yeah, he's starting high school, so we put him into therapy. And it's not because of anything.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. It's almost like preventative care for your mind. The
Facts.
same way take vitamins
Yeah.
or, work out or whatever you're doing to prevent something from happening.
Hmm.
That's what therapy can do. Like,
Facts.
you can't wait till you're in stage 4 cancer to try to rectify the situation. God
Exactly.
can do anything, but it's easier to catch it when it's early.
Facts.
And so the same way we think about cancer or other health ailments in that area, we should think about therapy that way as well. It's easier to catch it earlier. So I think the earlier the better. I started therapy in 2006,
Mm.
and I just did it because a friend was doing it. This girl I met, she was going to therapy, and it just kind of sounded cool. And I wanted to,
Yeah.
like dig in, like, let's see. And so
Yeah.
I think that's, it can definitely help if and when you're in a crisis, but it's almost just, it's exercise for your mind.
Facts.
Like, get into it earlier. It will help you be able to make decisions better. It'll help you be able to understand why you're making the decisions you're making.
Facts.
And it just goes hand in hand with that discernment. Like, we all have intuition. That's our voice from God.
Hmm.
But how often have you ignored your intuition? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then it end up being like, dang, I should have listened. Dang, I
Exactly.
thought, even if it's little stuff like
Yeah. Facts.
driving, like, dang, I knew I should have went the other way. I was gonna get caught in traffic. You know what I'm saying? And that's a very minuscule example, but bigger things happen like that all the time. And I feel like therapy helps you connect to your intuition a little bit better too, to be like, okay, this is why I should be doing what I'm doing or listening to myself. It helps you trust yourself.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I let them answer. I let that answer.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Was it hard walking away from like a 20-year relationship and not bringing that baggage from that relationship into your new one?
It was. And I can't say that I came without baggage.
Mm.
Like, the therapy helped me, so they weren't too heavy, but I had had some little cute tapes that I carried that I carried in with me. Um And like I said, it was on and off, but it was definitely something that kind of shaped who I was, because it was from the time I was 19 to the time I was 39. And so that's going to shape the way you are, the how you think. And I feel like there is some unfolding and unpacking that has to be done when you spend that much time with somebody, unlearning, being feeling safe in an environment with somebody else, trusting somebody's word, when you've been gaslit for so long, and it's not, he wasn't a terrible person either. That's the thing. It's like it was just not my person.
Yeah.
And I feel like even like our families were close, so and I was close, probably closer to his family than he was to mine, but that was part of it too. Like you have to untether all these parts. Like we didn't have kids together, we didn't have share a mortgage together or anything like that, but just the emotional
Yeah.
tethering of another person. And like, okay, so his sister's getting married. Dang, I don't go to that. That seems crazy. Like I miss her. I love, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like retraining yourself. Um, and I feel like that's something too that I had to understand with the help of therapy, that I don't want to go back to that situation. I'm happy where I am. And also, there is a grieving that happens when you've been with someone for so long, and you have to, that it really is a getting over and getting through, even though you're still happy in your current situation. So I think that's something that, if anybody else is dealing with that, like therapy can help with that, but also just knowing that you're good. If you are like, man, that's sad, or I missed this part of it, but that doesn't mean like you're not happy where you are. You don't
Exactly.
love who you're with.
Exactly. Okay.
So
I love that. Look, Bridget over here dropping jewels for you.
yeah.
So let me ask you about this. I feel that Sagittarius is the greatest signs, but you a proud
Oh,
Virgo. You a proud
proud
Virgo.
Virgo.
So can you tell the people about the characteristics of the Virgo?
Okay, let me tell you about us. Now, and it's good and bad. So a lot of people say, it's funny because I'll see a lot of memes like Virgos are the hardest people to live with because we're like so particular, so nitpicky. And y'all pray for my husband, but it is what it is. We like stuff the way we like it. Um, we don't have a good like extrovert activity. Like I'm an introverted extrovert. Like people think I'm a lot like, ooh, turn the party up, but I'm really like, I'll sit back and let me just watch.
Me too.
I need to observe. Like I need to see. I'm the person that's calling like, who all gonna be there? I need to know that before I go, because we're some people, it looks standoffish, but in the inside, once you get to know us, we're the best. We're loyal to a fault. Hence, 20 years in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That loyalty will keep
Yeah.
you somewhere. But when we're done, it's done. Like, so yeah. If a Virgo is done, they're done. And we're hard workers. The one thing that I feel like is the worst characteristic of a Virgo is the perfectionism. Because, and I've had to unpack that in therapy, like perfectionism is not real, and that is something that like we're very hard, as hard as we are on other people, we're hard on ourselves as well. And even my book, like I've reread it and I'm like, I need to write that over. Like I wish I would have said this different. I need to say that different. Like I could nitpick and plan something to death,
Yeah.
and it's like at some point you got to be like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
Like let it out. It's done. Move on. And so that is the part. That's probably our worst characteristic, is the perfectionism. But it comes out like Beyonce, Virgo, Michael Jackson, Virgo. So you're gonna get some good output from us, but just know we going through it. We're overthinking
Okay.
at all times.
At
Like
all times,
at
overthinking.
all times. That's the stress. The perfectionism and the overthinking is like, Lord help us. But you know, we're
Okay.
loyal and we work hard. So
Salute to the Virgos, the second best
yes,
signs
shout
of
out to all the Virgos. The second best.
Sagittarius, Sagittarius. Well, look, let me
Okay, wait.
ask you
What's
this.
when is Sag? What's
December.
your birthday?
We December, like the
Oh,
end of
December.
November, half of December. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
I'm trying to think. I don't even know too many Sag.
You see, let me get no one
I
now.
feel like all the December people are Capricorns so their Capricorn is right after Sag.
It's the end. Yeah, it's the end of
Then
December.
it's Sag.
Capricorn is the
Okay.
end of December. Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
You know a
Okay. Oh, one of
Sagittarius.
my stepdaughters. One of my
There we
bonus
go.
babies.
How is she?
Yes. She's um she's like cutesy, quiet, but I think she turn up when I'm like, because and I always forget like that I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my husband's kids are older, so like they're 20s in their early 20s.
Mm,
And in my mind, I'm like, we just gang, like we're all young.
yeah.
And they be looking at me like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You still over there?
You stay over there. You're married to our dad. And I'm like, oh, I'm the adult. I'm grown. So I'm still getting to know her. So I don't know the whole story. But I think she's like more like she's fun. Similar, like she's fun when you get to know her, but you might think on the outside she might be a little more quiet
Oh,
and
there you go. Yeah. There you
yeah. But
go.
yeah, yes.
But look, let me ask you this. So, you've been through a lot on your journey. What would you say has been your greatest challenge?
Oh, my greatest challenge, letting stuff go. Like letting go. Probably the surrender aspect, like letting
Mm,
it go and surrendering. Because it's always a learning
mm,
and new things are coming in all the time that I have to weigh the decision on like if it's something for me or not. Um, and I think that's a big thing just in everybody's journey is like things that you come in contact with, whether that's person, job, situation, content.
mm,
Um, is this something I should be moving forward with or not?
yeah.
Because you could be wanting something
Mhm.
and just understanding how do I get it? What's the path to get me there? That's
Yeah.
been hard for me. Like, what's the best path to get what it is that I want? And also, which I've learned, so it's not as hard anymore, but what's my intention? What's the intention? What's the end game?
Mm,
And I think once you set that, it makes it a little bit easier because then I can understand because your path to get there may be different. But if
facts.
you keep your intention in mind, at least if I'm over here a little bit and I'm trying to get over there, I can figure out how to get there versus going further and
Mm,
further in the wrong direction because I don't even know what my intention is. So
facts.
that's been a learning for me, but that has been the hardest thing is just letting stuff go. Like grudges and all. Like I gotta let stuff go. I gotta let it go. Let it go, girl. Let it go. Be the bigger person. Cause that whole like when they go low, well, shit, let's go. Let's get low. Get low. But it's like, no, sometimes you gotta let it go and
Mhm.
keep it moving.
Just gotta let it go. No,
Right, right.
I got you.
Versus who was that get low? Lil Jon? Get
Yeah,
low.
get low.
Like,
Get low.
right, right. Don't do that.
Was that
Do
the
the
Yang
other one.
Yang twins? Is one of them.
One of them. Look, we all one of the
I know,
two.
yeah, But look, so on the flip side of that, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment has been motherhood, I
Mm.
would say. Like, just that is, oh my gosh. Because what I don't have is patience. And
Okay.
I think even a 20-year relationship was a test on my patience because I used to be like, Lord, make me patient, please, because my nerves are bad. And my son has like made me understand that you don't have a choice. Like, what you gonna do? You got to be like, you don't have a choice. You have to have some patience. And so I feel like that is my greatest accomplishment. And with that has come, the skill of being patient. With being married has come a skill of being patient too, because when they say marriage is hard, like that has nothing to do with like infidelity. Because I feel like people always think that's they relate it to that, like, ooh, being faithful. That ain't the hard part, y'all. The hard part is it's two human beings trying to be a human together. And what temperature is the thermostat supposed to be on? Is it hot? Is like literally like, because, and it's like it's a real thing, but in reality, like it's a example of real life. Like, I like it cold, you like it hot. How do we set our relationship thermostat to the right temperature that vibes for both of us, knowing that sometimes I'm gonna turn it down and you're gonna be cold, and in those moments you just got to get a blanket. And sometimes you gonna turn it up and I'm gonna be hot and I just got to put on a tank top. So it's like literal and figurative. And I feel like the patience is like my biggest accomplishment has come with being a wife and a mom. And that is also like working on myself and being more patient. But loving on these two humans is just been great.
I like that. I like that. That's a great answer. I love that.
Yes.
Thermostat.
Yes.
But look, let me ask you. I want to ask you about this because I feel like I am an unofficial spokesperson for this TV show. You know what I'm saying? So tell me about The Wire. I love The Wire. The Wire is the greatest television show to be ever made in history. What you love about The Wire? Why did you binge watch it?
Okay, let me tell you about The Wire. What I love about The Wire is that The Wire is the most real. Do we curse on this?
Go whatever you want to say.
The Wire is the most real shit you will ever see. Like, it is just reality, and they didn't care about who dies, who stays. It wasn't like your favorite character gets to stay. My parents watched The Wire before I did. So I thought that Stringer Bell, and spoiler alert, anybody who hasn't seen it, spoiler alert. I thought Stringer Bell was The Wire. And I hadn't seen a show like The Wire before. So I'm thinking, if you're the main character, you're there till the end. So then on the scene, that's the scene, I'm watching it and I'm like, now how is he gonna get out of this? Because whole time y'all been doing the realest stuff. So I guess he's gonna jump out the window and roll on the ground and run down the street. And then I had to rewind it.
Oh my god!
And then it's in the middle of a sentence. Well, just do it. And then that happens. I call my dad like,
well, get on with it, mother.
Well, get on with it, mother. And then it's over with. Like, wait, Stringer Bell gone? Like, and then even the way Omar with the little kid, like that was just like, whoa.
Bridget, let me look. They had on demand at the time. So when that happened, I'm like, rewind. I'm like, is it a glitch? He ain't get his revenge from Marlo. What is that?
What? He didn't get his revenge? And then season 4, when the kids come in, when I feel like every episode I was watching, my shoulders was tight because I'm like, I got a soft spot for young Black boys. Like, before having a son, I love girls and women too, but like I feel like I like seeing these young Black boys. And so the way it kind of ended with, the only person that it wasn't a redemption story, which I loved. It didn't leave us with everything all wrapped up. You see how a kid like Dookie can go off the beaten path. You're a good person.
Super smart.
Super smart, good guy. Which you see Bubs and Doogie
Yeah.
Be in the same. And I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all haven't seen The Wire, this probably
Yeah.
sounds like
Y'all
jibber
should have
jabber.
been started. Yeah.
Y'all,
Yeah.
this is just your sign to go watch it. But
Right.
like, you see how Dookie kind of turns into what he did, and the
Yeah.
trajectory of his life, which is kind
Yeah.
of like, it's heartbreaking.
Right.
You see how Randy gets caught up
Yeah.
and then back to where he ended up, and it's
Yeah.
heartbreaking. Like, it's really
And he's so business minded and just go end up right back
yeah.
in the home.
And it just ended right
Yeah.
back because you are in a lot of instances just a
Yeah.
product of your environment. And it
Right.
just shows that, it also shows like, you gotta people gotta give a fuck about people. They
Right.
just do.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and to your capacity, because you don't have everybody don't have the capacity to like take somebody in like the other guy took in Naaman,
Name
and
it.
like
Yeah.
have somebody else be
How
a dinner
his
table.
mama was crazy. His
His
mama
mama was
was, oh
wild.
my
She
God.
was wild. And those are the type of people that are raising kids.
Mm,
And what do you expect? It's like you seeing somebody that's wilding, and the YNs that we calling them now, but
yes.
look at their mama. Look
Fact.
how they were getting cussed out when they were 3.
Mm,
What do you expect? And so The Wire to me just showed, even the cops, when they tried to
yes.
break off, do well, let them do the drugs and let them just do
Yeah.
it right here. And don't,
Oh yeah.
like, you see,
Amsterdam.
even,
Yeah.
yeah, the Amsterdam, like, they're, is it a bad decision? And is it a good decision? I
Yes.
don't know. Should
And
we just
people
let,
still
like,
dying. Yeah. Like,
people
like,
still dying?
yeah.
And it's like, it shows how much you can control, how much we don't have control over, how much you are a product of your environment. Every story ain't a redemption story.
Right.
Bubs, who was my heart, that
Yeah.
was probably, well, Bubs and Naaman, those are the
Yeah.
redemption stories of the
Right.
whole, right?
Yeah.
Everything else
Right.
was just
Yeah.
like, it
You,
just
you,
is what it is.
you know what? One of the most powerful scenes to me is when when Michael and Dookie and his little brother was in the car, and he was like, "Hey, you remember
Mhm.
that time we threw the water balloons and blah blah?" And Michael was
Mm.
really trying to think. He's like, "I don't remember," and it just show you all the trauma that he had been through that he don't even remember that memory. You know what I'm
When
saying?
I tell you, like, I want to
Pow-
cry. Like,
Powerful.
that is powerful. That
Mhm.
is powerful. Like, yeah, The Wire,
Yes.
for anybody who hasn't seen it,
Go watch it.
please watch
I
it.
done watched it a
Like,
million times over the.
yeah, like sometimes I just put it on in the back. I'm doing other stuff, and you just put it on because it's just one of those. And season 2, it has a rough season. It's kind
Yeah.
of hard to get through.
Yeah.
Just keep watching it through
I tell,
season
I
2.
tell the
Like,
people the same thing. I be like, look,
yeah,
if you don't want to look at character development and all that, just jump to season 3. But if you
right,
do, watch the whole thing.
right,
Man, like,
right.
so yeah, when I saw you,
It's
when I saw you binge watch that, I had to ask you about
we could talk about this all day. I just,
that. But,
when and I, like, not for nothing, I literally have to sometimes Google the kids just to
mm.
make sure in real life they doing good. Like, let me check on Dookie. Let me
You know
Google.
what? Let me tell you, I am super good friend. Like this is why I said God is just crazy. I am super good friends with Lisa, the guy who killed Omar. You know what I'm
You
saying?
are.
Yeah,
That's so
I done
funny.
went to Hollywood. We done kicked it together. We talk all the
Wow.
time and everything. I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. He all grown
That
now
is
and everything.
crazy. His badass. I'm mad at him still.
Hey, look, I'm gonna have to see the interview. I interviewed him about that. I was like, you killed Omar and all that time. So he was like, he really thought he really killed Omar because he was a kid. He said he ran down the street, he was crying. They had to console him.
Wow.
Michael K.
For
Williams was like, hey,
real?
I'm still alive. Yeah, I'm gonna send you that interview. He was like,
Wow,
it
that's
was
so
crazy.
crazy. And
Yeah.
shout out to Michael K. Williams. Like, that brother really should still be here. Like, he was a gem of a person, of an actor. Like, that was a hard one to
Mm,
lose.
yes, fact,
So
definitely. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely. I said I was gonna start some podcasts about the war, so I'm gonna reach back out to you when I see
Please,
we can talk
please bring me on. We could dissect every episode.
facts.
I'm ready.
Facts.
I'm ready.
All right, so let me ask you this: is there anything else coming up that you got that you want to promote?
Well, I will say this. I have started working on my second book, It's gonna be fiction. It's like it's I'm using real events and stuff, but so that's coming up. So we can look for that in 2026. I'm excited. I'm trying to get in my author bag. You know, I still have my 9 to 5, which I love what I do. I've been in marketing and advertising for 20 years, but I'm like this has opened up a new love for me, and so I do want to get more into this. I heard you mention that you direct and stuff,
I write
so
a direct movies too.
talk about that
Yeah.
offline because I feel like this next one is screenplay worthy. So we'll talk offline about that. But right now, I just really want everybody to dig into Therapy, Wine, and God. It is available on Amazon and on my website, BridgetJHarris.com. I also have a blog on my website where I talk about just real human stories, and just the things that I want to talk about, the stuff that people don't always say but they feel, and so and talk about it from a in a real way that makes people feel more included and that they're not a bad person for their thoughts or what you feel, because we're all just out here trying to do life the best we can. So new book is coming out. Therapy, Wine, and God. Though, get into that first so you understand how I talk, and then check out my website as well, BridgetJHarris.com.
Okay, so look, one question I love to ask all my guests, my last question.
Yes, yes.
When it is all said and done and you are long gone from this earth, what is it that you want the people to know about Bridget J. Harris?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I will say this, and I got this from my dad, and he said he got it from his mom, but that what I believe is that three things. One, nobody is better than me, and I'm not better than anybody else. And those are two things that I want people to take with them. I want to instill that in my son and know that about me, that you know, I, I'm doing the very best I can. And when you're doing the best you can, nobody's better than you, but you're not better than anybody else. Two, that um, everything is possible. You just have to understand the best way to do what it is that you're trying to do, and if what you're trying to do is the best thing that you should be doing. And then last but not least, I want people when I'm long and gone to know that I try to make things, anything that I come in contact with, I want it to be better than it was before I got there. And I hope that that can be my legacy as well. Like, if I'm invited to do something or show up or participate in something, my goal is to try to make it better than it was before I got there, and hopefully that I leave that impact. And the thing I love about writing as well is that I can leave my words way beyond, me being here. So that's another thing. And okay, last thing. I'm talking too much. Sorry. I am doing my best as a mom to raise an emotionally intelligent Black man. And that's the legacy I want to leave behind too. Like a smart, wealthy, emotionally intelligent Black man that doesn't result every feeling back to anger, that results like, oh, I'm not mad, I'm hurt. I'm not mad, I'm confused. I'm not mad, I'm in my feelings. And so, because I think a lot of Black men have just been taught to, the default emotion is just angry. I'm mad. And anger can fuel a lot of different things that aren't really necessary
Right.
versus understanding what that real emotion is. So I'm doing my best and want to leave my legacy of not raising an asshole.
Gotcha. Look at that.
So.
Drop the mic. So, Bridget, once again, let the people know where can they find you at if they want to get in contact with you.
Yes, you can find me at BridgetJHarris.com. And you can also find my book, Therapy, Wine, and God, on BridgetJHarris.com. It is also available at Amazon.
Okay. Well, we had a great interview.
Yes, thank you
Hang
so
tight.
much.
Hang tight when I end this so we can chat. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
I appreciate you and everything you're doing. You know, I'm gonna get the book too. I want to read it too. You know, I'm inspired.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes. It's not just for women. I promise. I
okay.
promise.
And I would
Yes.
definitely let you know when I write this article and everything. So appreciate you.
Thank you.
No problem. Hang tight.